Hey, Jack.
Hi, Jill. What's happening today?
Well, first of all, our show today is going to have a wonderful guest, George Gadson, and you're going to tell us all about George. But first, let's talk about what our show is and the title of our show, which is a fabulous title. Our show is called the Jack and Jill Art and Culture Tell All, right? Don't we always do this? Tell All show. And what it's about is our mission is to help artists. So during this time with the pandemic, how
Mhm.
to sell your work, how to market your work, and we're bringing on all kinds of people. I like
Good.
that. Awesome, that was good. We're going to bring on interior designers, curators, art coaches, marketers. We've got influencers from Instagram coming on. We've got it all. So without further ado, Jackie, can you tell us about our guest today?
Well, George Gadson is my mentor and really good friend, and I want to bring him on. He has quite the resume, so hopefully he'll be able to give us more of a succinct idea as to who he is and what he's doing now. So if we could bring him on, that'd be great. And I'll ask him.
I'm bringing him right on. Here he is,
Mr. Gadson.
Hi,
George.
hi, how are you ladies?
We're
doing
good, we're
great.
good. You know, I was going to introduce you. I did say that you were my mentor and friend.
Yes.
But I wanted you to give us a little bit of background because you have such a big bio that I wanted to condense it and didn't know how. So this is your moment to let us know who you are and what you do.
Well, I am a businessman who happens to be an artist. And I say that because I graduated from college, Duke University, and actually went into the banking business. And while in banking, I got stressed out because of the rigors of the banking career and decided that I needed a hobby. So I enrolled in an art class just to learn how to paint, to relax. I was with senior citizens. At that time, I wasn't a senior citizen, but I enrolled in an art class just to learn how to paint and fell in love with it. And my art has taken me to the White House, two Super Bowl sculptures, South Florida Super Bowl host committee in '95, '99. Ray Lewis commissioned me, well, not Ray Lewis, but the event planner for a hometown celebration for Ray Lewis after he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, created a sculpture for him. So my background is very eclectic in that sense that, you know, I decided to pursue art as a hobby, and I've now made it a business. And I take
Yes, you have.
and bring them together.
Fabulous. Very well said. I couldn't have done better myself. You know, Jill has a question for you to start the program out. So, Jilly Bean, go.
Well, before I get into the heart of the questions for artists, I did want to ask you one quick question about the White House. And if you could just tell us a little bit about what happened. You had I believe it was a Christmas ornament.
That is correct. George and Laura Bush, when they were in the White House, um, apparently this was a tradition that the spouse of the first lady gets to decorate the White House in a theme. And Laura Bush's theme was a red, white, and blue Christmas at the White House. So she had asked all of the congressmen throughout the U.S. to identify an artist within their congressional district to do an ornament for the White House Christmas tree. And Congressman Alcee Hastings, his district was the 23rd district.
Mm-hmm.
And he was calling around, or his aide was calling around, and wherever they called, the last place they called, they said, "Oh, you just have to call George Gadson." And so they reached out to me and told me what Laura Bush had requested, and they said, "Would you be interested?" And there was silence on the other end of the phone for a little bit, and I said, "Absolutely." Just in case I forget to tell you thank you, I'll tell you thank you now. And so they sent me an ornament that was really a shell. It was 9 inches in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to then decide how I'm going to decorate or create that ornament that fits in with the theme. So I was invited to by Laura Bush. I have it today, a formal invitation to be her guest at the White House, and I got to bring a guest. Unfortunately, my wife could not join me at that time because she had just started a new job. So I
And
took
you would have, but you would have taken me had I been available, had you known me at the time.
well. I'm not sure how to answer that question. My wife might be watching.
Okay, so that's really great.
Yeah, so my mom was my guest instead,
Nice.
and it was very meaningful to her. As we're sitting there, my mom said to me, she says, "Son, I would have never thought in my wildest dreams that I would be a guest in the White House." And it
Oh,
meant a lot to me
nice.
that she felt that way because my mom was a domestic person. She never went to college,
Mhm.
and to see the opportunity that her son had, and knowing that we were going to have our first African American president, and she was there saying, I've seen pictures of presidents' wives and paintings on TV, but now I'm in the real thing and I get to see all of this." So it was meant for her to be there.
It
Uh,
was. I was so the wrong person. That's so exciting. What
yes,
an
yes,
event.
yes, yes,
Story.
yes,
I love it. That's a
yeah.
great story.
That's a really great story. I'm glad she was able to experience that along with you.
Thank you.
Big doings.
That's the
Very
kind of thing
cool.
that our viewers need to hear about because see, this is what art does. This is what art can bring you to the White House. How about that?
Well, and I
Right?
truly believe that, folks. And I will say this: it was divine providence. I did not network in this situation at all.
Mm,
It was just divine providence, and I was ready for the occasion. But I think that speaks to we as artists
hmm.
always be prepared to rise to the occasion,
Right.
opportunity when it comes, because an opportunity like that may never ever come again. And
True.
I made a
Very
point. Okay, I will do it, and I rose to the occasion
true.
to make it happen.
Very
Excellent.
cool.
Excellent. So, George, for a question for you.
Mhm.
Um, how can artists effectively market their work right now during this pandemic? What can you tell artists that they can do?
Okay, no, if you're not using social media in some form or another, at this point in time, it's important that you do, and because that's a great platform for promoting yourself. I have, uh, I'm pleased to say, I have a young lady who's my publicist, and she does all of my social media postings, Facebook, Instagram, and looking for those moments of my fellow artists that you can actually create a story. People love hearing stories, even if it's just you and your creative process and you and what you're doing in the studio. If you're working on something different, something new, put it out there on Facebook, put it out there on Instagram, whatever social media platform, in LinkedIn even. So that's in this time because we're not able to do the networking, the rubbing elbows, and the hobnobbing. This is what I would say to do. The other thing is this, and that is if you have collectors and folks whose email addresses you have collected and have had for years, go into that database and find an excuse to reach out to them and just let them know you're still here, and continually putting yourself in front of them, maybe once a month, every 2 weeks, just letting them know this is what you're doing, because out of sight, out of mind. As you know, restaurants and art galleries, etc., they continually keep their clients in mind, and in part by sending communication of some form to them so that they never thought about, okay, yes, the holidays are coming up. What am I going to get someone for Christmas, or for their
And
birthday?
what are you going to get somebody who has everything? I always buy my husband a piece
Exactly.
of art.
Mm-hmm.
And unique pieces of art, I think, which kind of brings up another topic as it relates to this. you ladies do wonderful work, and I'll use both of you as examples.
Thank you.
Okay. So your works in your studios and that people purchase are large works of art. Okay, so in this day and time, right now, of what we're working and dealing with, those same large pieces can be photographed, and those photographs can then be reduced to small size coffee mugs.
Right.
Did you say coffee books?
Mugs.
Coffee mugs
Oh,
can be placed on mugs, or wonderful designs you have here for going on T-shirts. So where I'm going with that is this: from a marketing product mix standpoint, you now are presenting to your clients, your database, if you will, of different ways to have some of your work and to address a gift to give to someone who has everything. Someone would love to have a Jackie or a Jill work of art,
you
or
know, it's
Gadson as
yeah.
well.
I think that's a great idea because you can monetize these things on a very small and expensive scale, and then you can sell a lot of them, and that can be residual income. So it's like a low-hanging fruit.
Exactly. Not everyone is able to, in this day and time, to write a check for $5, $10, $1,000, but they want some of our work, so they'll be glad to write a check for $50 or even $100.
Right.
So looking for a way to get your work to them at a price point that is palatable.
Right.
That's great. You know, we know that networking is really important. How do we use that strategy during social distancing? How do we network now?
Well, I consider what we're doing now as a part of networking.
Okay.
We do,
Absolutely.
and for those of you who are watching this Zoom encounter right now, that's a way of you networking. And there's a way that you can reach back out to Jackie and Jill and connect with them and with myself. You can go to my Facebook page, my website. So right now, because this whole pandemic, we have to be creative. Now, when was the last time you picked up the phone and talked to a high school friend?
Oh,
You,
actually, the other day.
oh, great, awesome. Okay, so go into your database of your phones. Okay, and and I've done that. I've gone through my phone and I've come across a name that I haven't talked to in God only knows how long,
Right.
and I either reach out to
I'm
them.
sorry. Can you guys hear the dog barking? Maybe I should
Yeah.
close the door.
Yeah,
Okay.
that'll be great. So go ahead, George.
So social distancing. Yes, we have to be separated for now, but we can reconnect. One of the nicest things our daughter, who's in California, did, excuse me,
Sure, sure. Take
really
your time.
meaningful to us.
Okay.
She doesn't like talking on the phone.
Okay.
She's, I think, 40 now. Okay, but you know what she did? She took the time and she wrote a note card
Oh.
to us. So where I'm going with that is this: reaching out to those folks that you want to connect with, maybe texting, making a phone call, or sending a note. Someone maybe that hadn't heard from you in forever and a day.
Right.
Yes, I've been creating note cards, that have little works of art, and people really like them.
Oh, that's such a great idea.
Now here's another thought along those lines. If you don't have postcards already done of your work, get postcards done of your work.
Okay.
They serve two purposes. One, you can use them as mail outs to someone, but at the same time, when you give your postcard to someone, they love it. So they say, "Oh my gosh, this is really awesome! I'm going to frame this."
Right.
Yeah, because it's one of a kind.
It's one of a kind. Exactly, it's one of a kind.
Look, I want to tell you something. There's a mug with my work on it.
Awesome! I love it.
I didn't know.
I don't even know Jackie thought. Look, Jackie, look.
I like it.
Yes.
On both sides.
Excellent.
Love it.
So there you have it.
So do you think, like with social distancing, So you've got notes and you have phone calls and ways to get in touch. But as far as networking for sales, how do you feel about reaching out to different curators, museum directors, people that are putting on virtual shows?
I think that's a good strategy.
Hmm.
Uh, but even there, you've got to first do your homework
Right.
before doing that, because your style and the genre of work that you do
Hmm.
may not necessarily fit in with a, an antique dealer. Let's just say
Oh,
that.
for sure.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but yes, doing the research to determine, okay, my work fits well with what I see on their website, and then reaching out to them. Absolutely.
Okay. And do you think that galleries right now would be a place to reach out, even though many are closed? Are they doing virtual exhibitions and so forth?
Yeah.
Or
Yes,
is now
but
not the time?
I would be cautious there. There was a gallery that contacted me out of New York,
Hmm.
and I don't know how she got my name. Um, and that's a caution I put out there, because galleries are like we all are. We're looking for ways to be creative now because of the pandemic. Just be cautious that you aren't being sold a bill of goods for you paying X number of dollars, and I'm going to give you a virtual show, and your virtual show is not really, you don't get the return on your investment.
Yeah, we don't want to pay to play.
No, vanity gallery. Right.
Right.
Yeah, vanity.
And George, what about studio visits? What do you think about that? What do you think is the best way to reach out to a curator for a studio visit with like a Zoom
Good
studio?
question.
Oh, that's a great question. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
And being able to entertain them and say, well, I want to invite you to my space, and here's how I'd like to do it. It's a numbers game,
Right.
but at the same time, it's a great idea. But do it to a gallery owner that you know for sure would be possibly interested in your work.
Right.
Right.
Once again, do your homework
Once you do your homework. Once you do your homework.
always.
Yeah.
And
No, I know you had a question about strategic planning.
Yeah.
yeah, tell us about that, George.
Well, folks, this is the banker, the business side of me comes
I
in,
love it.
and that is, as artists, now's the time to really start planning. Okay, and what I mean by that is this: in strategic planning for corporations, for profits, not for profits, they have goals that they set, and that strategic plan. And part of the strategic planning is also doing what is called an environmental scan. What they thought and how they thought they would operate for the next 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. Once they did an environmental scan, they had to revisit that strategic plan and recalibrate, if you will. And so, as an artist, now we're in this pandemic. Take this time to strategic plan for 3 months in terms of, okay, what kind of goals do I want to set? If you remember the acronym SMART, SMART.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Tell me.
SMART. S stands for specific. Your goals should be specific, not nebulous, and not just real specific and concrete.
Okay.
M is for measurable. So today I have, this is hypothetically. So how does that look? Okay, today I have uh, 0 commissions I'm working on. Okay, but my goal is to, within 3 to 6 months, is to have 4 commissions. Now you were able to measure, starting from 0 commissions now to 4 commissions. That's what
Hmm.
the A stands for achievable. Okay, why set a goal that is unachievable? Let's just do this as an example. My goal is to have my work auctioned off at Christie's in 3 months.
Not achievable, really. Too high up there.
That's my point. That goal is unrealistic.
Hmm.
Okay, it has to be realistic. Now, 5 years from now, 3
Maybe.
years from now, maybe. But to say 3 months or 6 months,
Mm.
no, that's not going to
Uphill.
happen.
Yeah.
So, so again, specific, measurable, achievable,
Oh,
realistic. Okay, and then the T stands for time, 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 time certain, meaning putting a specific date and time that boom, this is going to happen. And I use it as an example. I'm also a published author. I published and wrote a book of poetry combined with my paintings, my sculptures, my photography. And to get that book done, I used my birth date, August 10th, as my date to have it completed. So,
happy almost birthday.
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh yeah, 1 month away. Oh my God, it's quick. Okay.
So when you're looking at setting goals, have a specific time frame that you want to have it done.
Right.
And the studies have shown that when you write these down, by the way, not having them in your head, when
Yeah.
you write a goal down, research shows that you stand a great 90% chance of achieving it because
Wow.
it's like a commitment. It's like a
Isn't that
contract.
funny? Yeah.
That's
You
amazing.
know, it is. And let's be real. If you, for whatever reason, life happens, you don't reach that goal,
Excuse me.
then
Let's,
don't get distraught. Just if you know that's what you want to do, just then recalibrate and schedule and set a goal to get that particular goal done.
Right.
love it. Okay, so I know like there are a myriad of resources available to all us creatives. How can we take advantage of them, and what are they exactly?
Well, I will say this. One of the resources that we all should better take advantage of is Google.
Really?
When I say Google, I mean going online and typing in keywords like um, grants for artists, um, assistant relief funds for artists affected by the COVID-19. Those
How
kind of
interesting.
keywords, in part, will give you some resources. Uh, there's a national organization called the American for the Arts. They have a plethora of research, not research, but resource information on helping artists. There is an organization, Art Archive Network. Is it
Oh
Archive?
yeah.
Yeah, that has a it has they actually put out a fund and funding grant opportunities resource manual, if you will. So those kinds of keywords, just Googling those things will pop up. So, and not to mention your local uh, arts organizations like the Broward County Cultural Division here.
Nice.
They have grants. I've been recipients some years ago of grants where they specifically require that the artists work with nonprofit organizations.
Mm.
Uh, the same way with the Community Foundation of Broward, the Arts of Community grant with the Community Foundation of Broward. Working as a consultant for a couple of municipalities here, we were able to, with the Community Foundation of Broward, get a grant that we were then able to hire an artist to actually do public art. So it's just really going online and researching and specifically reaching out to the cultural organizations that we have in our region.
So,
Wow.
uh,
That's good stuff. Jill?
yeah. So, what about what can we do about our finances right now? Like in because that's sort of this what you were just talking about. You were saying, look, try to get grants and different things. So right now, artists are having a really, really difficult time. So how could we write a grant? Like if let's say we don't know anything about writing a grant, are there any resources that could help us to write a grant?
Uh,
How to write a grant.
on,
Google.
Google,
yeah,
right?
how to write a grant, that's one way. And let me just that's one of the main places where you could find, and there are a number of workshops that are offered even here
Ah.
in Broward.
Mhm.
Uh,
Oh, good.
on how to write grants. The culture division, again, reaching out to them. Here's the key: is knowing how the grantor thinks is a critical part of this whole process. As a former banker, I used to do mortgages. I was an account executive, and I can proudly say that 85 to 90% of the loans that I brought in from realtors and mortgage brokers, they were approved because I knew how the underwriting department thought.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's very
So, as an
specific.
artist
Mhm.
who's looking for grants,
Hmm.
dive in and learn how the funder thinks and what they're looking for.
Can you give us any tips? Like, and is it always something
Question, Jill.
similar? Like, is it always similar, or is it different for every grant that you write?
There's some parts of the grants that are, for example, if there's a need, let's just say a need that you want to address in terms of homelessness,
Hmm.
and how you want to take your art and be a part of the solution or helping that population, then
Fabulous.
by finding out from the grantor, by going on their website, researching and finding out their areas of giving, and then downloading the grant application, and then beginning to see, okay, your statement of need and those types of things. If indeed they fund it, there are probably other funders out there also that will fund a similar cause. So you already have gotten one grant hopefully approved, and you take the language from that one grant and copy and paste it for the other grant.
So it's like a
Mm.
template in a sense.
So
Template. Yeah.
Yeah, like a
that
template.
you do, but then you tweak it. You
Okay.
tweak it to accommodate the language and the nuances, if you will, of the other funder. So
Love it.
once you've gotten one grant approved, then you have to know how the other grantor is thinking, what they're looking for, and massage it and give them what they want. So where I'm going with that is, as I was saying earlier, as an account executive in the banking business,
Mhm.
I knew how my underwriter thought.
Right.
Before the loan even went to them, I knew that if that person had some challenges with their credit, or if there was some medical issues that caused the credit to be as it was, I had them provide me with a letter of explanation so that when the underwriter read it, they didn't even question, well, why does this person have some, suspect credit?
Right.
So for the funder, for grants, if you know how they think, what they look for, giving them the buzzwords that make sense, not just throwing a bunch of buzzwords out there, but buzzwords that make sense in terms of how what you're looking to do will be a solution to the need statement that you mentioned. That's how you approach that.
Can
But
you
don't,
tell us, can you tell us about any buzzwords that are sort of general that work for all of the grants, or that's not really true?
I wouldn't say that's not really true, but I will tell you this, knowing, being aware of the environment. Remember we talked about the environmental scan?
Hmm.
Being aware of what the environment we're in right now
Yeah.
and what buzzwords are out there,
Yeah.
social equity, diversity, um, health, the whole health, mental health is a major thing now. Movie stars and others are coming forward now, and they're talking about the fact that they had some challenges with depression. And so, right, those, whatever is out there now,
That's interesting because I was just going to ask you. Now, as you can see, my stuff is very abstract.
yeah,
There are some triangles and rectangles and squares in here that have little openings saying, and what that means is, do you want to get stuck in that square or you want to get out?
yep,
How do you want to get out? Now, I'm very much into the Black Lives movement, Black Lives Matter. I'm also very interested in what's happening in the current, like with global change,
right, global climate, yeah,
diversity,
yeah, diversity.
mental health.
The
So,
digital divide for those artists who are digital, create art digitally. Okay, how can you, let's just say hypothetically, take that you're doing and bring it into a venue that you can maybe help kids who aren't academically progressing,
Right, right.
Yeah, I would very much like to use my art and share with kids because there are messages here.
Yep.
And Jill has a lot of amazing messages with her art.
But see, what some folks don't know, and by the way, I have a master's degree in education. I went back to school after graduated from Duke and got my master's degree,
Good for
not
you.
because I wanted to teach at
Amazing.
some school or college, but I wanted to understand how people learn. And in the process of getting my degree, I came to know that studies have shown, if you do research, kids who are involved in the arts academically perform better. They
Absolutely.
learn, they learn, they learn critical thinking skills.
Yep.
Okay. They learn problem solving. All of those skills that they learn are skills that they can take into their life when they graduate from high school or what have you. It teaches
Right.
them life skills.
Right.
So using this
So,
as an example for an artist who's looking for a grant, art education, life skills, all of those key buzzwords like that to address a need and the result-based uh, program, how it shows here's how the kids were before and here's how they are now as a result of that.
okay, so what I wanted to do at ArtServe, because it's so big, that whole huge space in front of Sunrise, the window there, you got 80 feet or whatever. I wanted to have kids that weren't doing that great in school and pump them up and teach them how to express themselves, get rid of anger or fear or whatever, and have a blast with me.
Yeah.
And the only thing I would need would be the smallest of grants for supplies. That's it. I don't need a big grant. I
Okay,
just want to
so
cover my supplies because I don't have to pay. I don't need anyone to pay me for my time. That's my gift. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea, and here's a suggestion that
Please.
I've known other artists have done. Golden,
Golden, love golden.
Oh,
okay,
that's a paint
reach out,
company. A paint
Yeah.
company.
a
Yeah.
paint company, reach out to Golden and see if they have
No.
a foundation or a way in which they can provide you with the supplies and some funds in order for you to do the class. And guess what happens? You're promoting and marketing
What?
Golden.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Now the other side of my brain is I'm pretty good at marketing.
So this is so cool
Okay.
because the
Oh,
kids
okay.
get.
Hold on.
Go ahead, go.
All of a sudden now you're creating an art event, okay, with kids using Golden paint, and then you invite the media. Golden would love it because they get a bunch of leverage and publicity.
Right. It's a
Okay. Plus, we're using the best paint possible. These
Absolutely.
kids are going to make the most beautiful things with that.
right. And there's another company that's in Miami called Arteza. They have
Yep.
also paint, and
All right.
they're a Miami company. They've been around since 2016, and they're already here, so it would work out. And even
Here's
though
another thought,
it's national or international rather.
and I can see right now the three of us together, and no, I want to remember this word. We'll come back to it just a second, and that is this: finding those corporations who are committed to what I call corporate responsibility.
I need a
And
new page.
and their social responsibility. What is it that's their hotspot? That you talk about kids who are maybe not up on computers and technology, finding a technology company whose social responsibility, that's one of their guiding
Yes.
principles, if you will, and making sure that no one is left behind in terms of the technology age.
Right.
Bringing them on board, how can they do that? So I want to get back to the word which has really has been floating around as we're discussing, but has not been stated.
Hmm.
That is collaboration.
But that's
Okay,
what we're doing here, isn't it?
that's
Yeah.
what we're doing here exactly. And I would tell you, those of you who are listening, that foundations love knowing that there is a partnership and collaboration that's taking place with different entities and individuals. Okay, we all each have our own separate companies. Rather
Mhm.
than go to XYZ Foundation by yourself, Jackie,
Yes.
if you come with a group or two or three of us together and we put together a proposal, then the foundation says, wow, we're getting the bang for our
I
buck.
never thought of that. That's awesome.
That's
That's why we know each other. We share.
Okay.
That's what I've learned
well,
from you.
so
I have never met with George Gadson where I didn't take such a myriad of notes that I had to go back to the computer and write them up. Even when he comes into my studio, I'm like, hey, George, how's it going?
boom.
Yeah.
Every word you have to take down. It's almost like you ever have a report.
Good.
That's funny.
Man.
When I meet with folks, you know, I sometimes, and they ask my advice, I go, and they're just sitting there listening to me. I go, man, you must be brilliant. Because I don't see you taking any notes.
Well, God knows I am brilliant, and I have to take notes.
I just want to say that unfortunately
Please.
we have to close up our show for the day.
You know, it would be great to have George back on.
George, if we could have you back, you have such a plethora of advice to give, and we would love that.
I
So
would love
on that note, I want to say goodbye, and we are grateful and honored
for
and
having.
thrilled to have you today, George.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
You guys, you ladies rock. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you. Okay, one more thing.
Yes.
It's like I think that whoever's watching should implement as many things as they can.
Mhm.
Okay, so when George gets back, we can all share them.
Yeah, let us hear from you too. I love to hear. You know, do I know everything? No, but I know enough.
Yeah, I've been meaning to talk to you about that.
George, come on, admit it. You know everything.
George, you're the bomb, baby.
I'm learning too. I am.
We'll all learn together, and thank you very much.
Thank you, ladies. I
So much,
appreciate it.
everyone.
We'll talk to you soon.
Okay,
Take
bye,
care.
George.
Bye bye now.